It's good, y'all. Welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and today we are here for episode 2 of the offseason positional preview. This one, we're talking about the big one, the quarterback situation. Obviously, everyone's talking about that right now for our situation. We're going to break it all down right here. We got 2 guests for this. First off, we got Vish right here, and then we got Joseph
What's
right
up?
here. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm doing well,
man.
Sam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime, both of you. But anyways, guys, we're going to break down all the quarterback options, talk about the options, starting with Garoppolo, going all the way through free agents, draft guys, trade targets, you name it. We're going to talk about that all here. Let's just get right into it. But before we do, make sure to follow me on Twitter at NinerWireSam. My Instagram's at NinerWire_YT. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure to subscribe to Niner on YouTube. I post a lot of stuff on all 3 places, so make sure to check those places out. Also, make sure to tune into Talking Niners with me and Kobe. Also follow us on Twitter at Talking Niners Pod. That's the second podcast that we're doing. We're doing a lot of stuff there, a lot of stuff coming up. So check that out right there. Also follow these guys. Vish's Twitter is at Vish Kumaran. Also make sure to subscribe to Blake and Vish Sports and Being Elite on YouTube. Joseph's going to start some stuff there. So make sure to subscribe to both those places. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you name it, make sure to leave them in the chat below. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So I think the best way to start off is just talking about who we have right now at quarterback, and mainly just starting quarterback, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. And at this point, I think it's safe to say that Jimmy Garoppolo will not be back in 2021. We're kind of good on that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I Shanahan doesn't trust him at all. I've been saying this for a while now. I don't see that much trust in Shanahan. I mean, that contract's kind of bloated. You can get a guy for cheaper that could be better than Garoppolo. The injury could be nagging on. I don't know. But either way, I don't think Garoppolo is going to be back in 2021. And that's really the reason why we're having this video right here, why we're talking about the quarterback situation, because we don't really know what's going on with all the quarterbacks out there. So, yeah. But, yeah, I don't really have much to say about Garoppolo other than I think he's gone. Just want to start off on that note. If you guys have anything else to add, feel free to do that right now.
I just want to say the main reason he's gone is because Shanahan doesn't trust him. Whenever he had Matt Ryan, it's like the offense was explosive, but it's so limited with Garoppolo, so that's like a big minus, and we have to change the quarterback.
For sure. And I definitely think or go ahead, Vish.
No, I was going to say, to me, it's more contractual than anything. I think Shanahan, obviously, it's been documented since 2018 that this is not his guy. He doesn't really like Jimmy Garoppolo, and there's been that conflict. But to me, the reason it's so important to move off of him this offseason, even if you don't get a Matthew Stafford, don't get a Deshaun Watson, don't get an Aaron Rodgers, and even if you don't like any of the quarterbacks you can draft, is because he just makes too much money at the moment. And he makes way too much money. He's paid like a franchise quarterback. And unfortunately, when you have to sign a Trent Williams, you have to sign a Jason Verrett, you have to make a decision on a Jaquiski Tart, you can't be having a quarterback who you're not 100% sure is a franchise level guy making that much money.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of accumulation of everything. And I think that contract also leads to the lack of trust in Shanahan. If Jimmy Garoppolo was being paid $2 million a year, I think Shanahan would still stick with that guy. But now you're being paid, what, $25 a year, something like that? I don't know. But I mean, it's a lot of money for a guy that you want to be your franchise quarterback. You got other needs to pay. You're pretty low on cap. So I definitely think it is probably the best option to get rid of him. And, I mean, there's not that much depth cap, which is so great for us. We don't have to trade him. You can just cut him right there, not risk anything, and it should be all good. But that's really all I got to say about Garoppolo. You guys got anything else?
I think you covered it.
Yeah, all right.
Contract's probably the biggest reason because we have so many guys to pay. Whenever you have a guy like Garoppolo who's not producing, especially with how much he's paying, he has to go.
For sure. I'm totally with you on that. All right. Let's move on to the guy whose name was in so many rumors today from a lot of Niners reporters. Ian Rappaport said that a lot of teams have contacted the Lions about this guy, and that's Matthew Stafford. Obviously, Vish, this is your guy right here. And just tell the world why you want this guy so badly right now?
So I've been a Matthew Stafford fan since Matthew Stafford got drafted. I've always been a fan of guys with superior arm talent, and Matthew Stafford has one of the greatest arms in NFL history and one of the best arms I've ever seen in my life. And so around May of last year, I really got obsessed with the idea of the Niners getting him. To me, it seemed like the Lions were an organization going nowhere. I felt like Patricia and Quinn were on their last year, and this would be an opportunity for the regime to get fired and part ways with Matthew Stafford. And during this time, everybody was talking about Aaron Rodgers. That was the guy, right? Because the Packers had just drafted Jordan Love. To me, contractually, trade-wise, that one didn't make sense as much as Matthew Stafford was much cheaper and even cheaper than Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's why I've been all over the Matthew Stafford idea, because to me, he hasn't been supported in Detroit. You're talking about a bad organization, maybe the worst organization in the NFL. He's never had a good offensive line. He's never had a good running game. People think just because he played with Calvin Johnson, he had good weapons. Like, they didn't have anyone outside of Calvin Johnson. We can go through the list. Like, Brandon Pettigrew wasn't that good. Tony Scheffler was a tight end they had for a while. They had Nate Burleson as their number 2. They drafted Titus Young, who got arrested like 7 times in a month. So they've had a lot of moving parts there that have not been that great. And Matthew Stafford has carried that franchise with his arm. And so I think that you put him in Kyle Shanahan's system and you can see what a great talent this is. To me, when you're talking talent level, this guy's arm and ability to throw off platform and movement skills within the pocket is in the Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers type conversation. That's how talented he is physically. And if you put him with the supremely good play caller like Kyle Shanahan, I think that you're gonna get really far. And that's why I've been all over the Matthew Stafford thing. And just for the viewers, follow @young_Ty.
Okay.
I just told him I wasn't going to do that, but there you go, Ty. Congratulations. You got a shout out from Vish Kumran. But yeah, you said it perfectly right there. Matthew Stafford, I know I made the Sam Darnold video. Vish, we can talk about Sam Darnold later, but we might get onto this when you're here. But Matthew Stafford, I made that video under the intention that Matthew Stafford was not going to be on the trade block. Matthew Stafford is on the trade block now. Lions have obviously made that clear. Rappaport said that a third of the teams have contacted the Lions about him. And I can guarantee you that one of those teams is the 49ers. And I think it's a match made in heaven. I think Matthew Stafford, you put him with the Niners, this team is easily a Super Bowl contender. Matthew Stafford can easily improve his game under Kyle Shanahan, an offensive guru, by the way. And there's no downside in getting Matthew Stafford other than maybe your 3rd round pick becomes the greatest player of all time, which I highly doubt that happens. So, Matthew Stafford, it's really a win-win situation for the Niners. And I know there's that argument of people saying, oh, Matthew Stafford, he's 32, he's aging. First of all, look at the production that he's made in the past few years. You can't tell me one bit that Matthew Stafford has declined over those past few years. And second of all, look at some quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford has been arguably a top 10 quarterback his entire career. And you want to talk about other guys that have been top 10 quarterbacks their entire career at the age of 30, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Those are just 3 to name them. Usually if you're a top 10 quarterback past 30, you have at least like 5 to 10 years left. Stafford probably doesn't have 10, but he for sure has 5. And that's probably the size of our Super Bowl window. So Matthew Stafford, or go ahead.
Real quick before Joseph goes, I thought you nailed in one more thing. Matt Ryan, when he won his MVP with Kyle Shanahan, was actually 32 years old. So
Exactly.
That's more along the lines of the same conversation. Matthew Stafford has been that tier 2 type quarterback with the Carson Palmers, the Tony Romos, the Matt Ryans, those kinds of guys, Phillip Rivers. They've all been the same kind of level of quarterback for a bunch of years where everybody always hates on them because they're not the Bradys, they're not the Mannings, they're not the Rodgers, but they're so incredible and they can win MVPs and stuff if they played with the play caller like Kyle Shanahan. And one more thing, someone brought it up in the comments, and I think it's because Vegas might know something here. Other people on Twitter seem to know something, people we all trust, and it's that the odds for Matthew Stafford went to plus 100. So, and they've been rising, and the 49ers went from 2 to 1 this morning at plus 375. So yeah, Vegas might see something here.
Definitely. You got anything to say, Joseph, on Stafford?
I want to say you brought up he has a good amount of time left. His play style is really long lasting. He can probably have like another 5-6 years left in the tank. Honestly, I think he has 2 years left on his deal. However it goes, if we were to trade for him, I'd be willing to give up a good amount just for like a player of Matthew Stafford's caliber for the next 5-6 years on an already Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, what was surprising is I think it was like a few days ago, something like that. I put out 2 polls. would you trade a first for a top 10 quarterback? And then would you trade a first for Matthew Stafford? And for some reason, the people who said, would you trade a first for a top 10 quarterback was way more than the people said first for Stafford. So, I mean, I don't get why you wouldn't want Stafford on this team. He's going to cheese that. First of all, he's a cheap option considering the talent he has. He's a top 10 quarterback, the most valuable position on this team. And then people are going to say like, oh, the contract's up. If you have a franchise quarterback, you pay your franchise quarterback however much he wants, basically. End of story. I mean, look what we did with Jimmy Garoppolo, man. It's that simple. So, yeah, I mean, Stafford, in my opinion, if we got Matthew Stafford, that would probably be the best fit and most realistic fit for I should say not best fit, but most realistic fit for this team.
You know why?
All right, go ahead.
You know why people feel that way, and I've seen it too much on 49ers Twitter and stuff. It's because they haven't seen a down of Matthew Stafford in their career. There's this national media perception that Matthew Stafford isn't a winner because now winning is solely a quarterback stat and the quarterback wins, right? He's never won a playoff game. Well, look at what Jimmy Garoppolo did last year to win a playoff game. He threw 18 passes versus the Vikings and he threw 8 versus the Packers. Now, if you're telling me that Jimmy Garoppolo's mentality and leadership is the reason that Raheem Mostert ran for 228 yards, then we're having a totally different conversation because that had nothing to do with it. So winning playoff games and all of that is a team achievement. And I can't wait if they do get Matthew Stafford because I've been kind of poking holes at this narrative my entire life where I've been talking about sports and with other people. It's this notion that, oh, Matthew Stafford isn't a winner, blah, blah, blah. I can't wait till he gets here. They're like 13-3 or 12-4, and he has an MVP caliber season with Kyle Shanahan, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, Matthew Stafford's a winner, and Niners fans are like, look we have Matthew Stafford, blah, blah, blah. Because I think winning is more a product of circumstance unless you have an Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, that level of player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you said it perfectly right there. I'm totally with you on that. You got anything else to say, Joseph?
I mean, like he said, the media bias. He plays in Detroit. They can't win games. Terribly ran team. He's not going to be getting the attention he deserves. I mean, if he was in Dallas or New York or, whatever big market team, then he'd be getting acknowledgement and he'd be a top 6, 7, 8 regarded player every year.
Easily. I mean, yeah, he's definitely one of the most criminally underrated players in this league. And I think just being on the Lions, not getting the help that he needs. I'll be honest. Like I said that the Detroit Lions were going to make the playoffs this year. The one thing I said that was holding them back was coaching. And that has to do with the front office just not taking advantage of what they need to get fixed. It's been a consistent year throughout Stafford's 11-year, 10-year career, something like that. I don't know. It's been a lot of years in Detroit of just pain and suffering for Matthew Stafford. And now you bring him to San Francisco. It's going to be a fun situation there for him. So I am definitely looking forward to that if he becomes a Niner.
Real quick, before you end the topic, why did you pick the Detroit Lions to go to the playoffs? It was because of what reason? Because of who's played during the first 8 games of last year.
Matthew Stafford.
Exactly. There's no other reason you picked the Detroit Lions to win a game besides the fact that you believe in Matthew Stafford. And
exactly.
Won every single game they've won basically in his career.
Exactly. And I mean, last year he had Galladay. Well, Galladay got hurt, but like if he had healthy Galladay, I think the Lions would have been a lot better. Get that receiver to going. But yeah, man, Stafford could do a lot of damage with the Niners. So it's really going to be fun if he becomes the Niners. So yeah. All right. Let's move on to a guy who was commented at the beginning of the stream. Trade up for Zack Wilson. Let's talk about Zack Wilson for a bit. And in my opinion, if you want to draft a guy, if you want to get your quarterback through the draft, Zack Wilson is your guy, in my opinion. I think when looking at the options, Zack Wilson, in my opinion, he is my number 2 quarterback. He runs in a West Coast offense. Shanahan and Adam Peters and all those guys have really just scouted him a lot this year. I think you could definitely say that the 49ers are in love with this guy from what we've heard so far. And I definitely think Zack Wilson, if you want to go through the draft, is the best fit. The big question is, are you going to be able to get him? You can't get him at 12. He's definitely going ahead of time. You got a lot of teams that you need to jump. So, you probably have to jump to Miami's pick at 3 or Cincinnati's pick at 5, depending on who's on the board. I definitely think if we can do that, we definitely should do that because Zack Wilson, he's not as NFL ready as Justin Fields is, but in my opinion, he has such a higher ceiling than Justin Fields and a higher floor as well than Justin Fields. So I definitely think, and we'll talk about Justin Fields later, but Zack Wilson is, in my opinion, if you want to get your quarterback through the draft, he is the best option to go for.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I don't think Fields is more NFL ready than Zack Wilson, just because Fields' pocket awareness scares me. We're going to talk about Fields in a bit, but I mean, Wilson can make NFL throws. He has zip on his arm. He looks really smooth with his arm sometimes. He can run too. And I mean, we don't run a pure West Coast offense. We run like a variant of it, but I mean, it works. I think he's more NFL ready than Justin Fields, though. That's another argument, though.
You said, sorry, repeat that. You said that Wilson's more ready than Fields?
NFL ready than Fields, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I definitely see that. I think both are, I would say both are NFL ready, but if you want a guy who can come in and win right away, I would probably give the advantage to Fields just on the competition that he's faced. Wilson, I mean, Wilson hasn't faced as much great competition as Justin Fields, in my opinion. But when you look at both the guys, both are NFL ready quarterbacks. But Justin Fields, if you want a guy who can win now, you go Justin Fields. If you want a guy who can win now and have more presence in the future, then you go with Zack Wilson. Have him develop a little bit, maybe sim for a game or two behind your backup quarterback, whoever that is, and go with him. There's a lot of backup options this offseason you can go with, which is another great thing about this team. And even, I mean, you could start Josh Rosen. He might be broken to hell. I don't know, but yeah, we'll have to see about that. But Zack Wilson, in my opinion, is the best guy in the draft for quarterback for us.
I don't think he's something they can get. I think that trading up to get Zack Wilson would cost too much, and I think that whoever's picking at 2, whether it's the Jets or whether it's going to be Houston because they trade for Deshaun Watson, I think they're going to take Zack Wilson, or maybe it's Justin Fields that they value. But I don't think that I think both of those guys are going within the top 5. And I think Zack Wilson, from a talent standpoint, when you look at how he throws it, his throwing motion, his quickness, his movement, his ability to throw off a bunch of different platforms with a bunch of different arm angles, I think that it's just too much. I just don't think the 49ers can go up and get him.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's not the most reasonable option. I think you're probably, if you want to get a guy at quarterback, I think from what we've heard so far, Stafford would be a cheaper option. Trey Lance would be a cheaper option. Mac Jones would be a cheaper option. Kyle Trask would be a cheaper option, obviously. But I mean, I definitely think the quarterback position is the most valuable in football, hands down. And if you got a guy there that you love at quarterback and you think can be a star quarterback, you go up and get him right there. So I definitely think it really depends on how much. If the Niners are not 100% sold on Zack Wilson, you don't go and get him.
It takes 2 teams to tango, and if the Niners, it's not like the Niners can just say, "I'll give you 40 picks." If the team at 2 wants to take Zack Wilson, they're gonna take Zack Wilson.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If I'm the Jets, I would 100% rather have Zack Wilson on a rookie contract than one more year of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm totally with you on that. My thing is, like, from what I've seen so far, all signs are pointing to the Jets probably going Sewell, but this is just so far. We still have a lot of offseason to go. Have you seen other things?
I watched a Robert Saleh interview this morning with Mike Florio and Chris Sims, and they asked him, is Sam Darnold going to be your quarterback next year? And he goes, Sam is really talented. There's a reason he was drafted at number 3, blah, blah, blah. But we wouldn't be doing our due diligence and due process if we
I'm just going to
option. It's the Cliff Kingsbury, Josh Rosen thing. And ultimately, here's why I think they'll move off of him. If you're Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur, why would you want to keep Sam Darnold, who has only 1 more year of that rookie contract? Reset your counter. If you draft Justin Fields, if you draft Zack Wilson, whoever you think is the best quarterback there, you only got to be good by their year 3. There's no pressure to win until then. With Sam Darnold, there's pressure to win right away because you got to sign him.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm definitely with you on that. So now that you say that, I did not hear that this morning. So that's good to hear. But I think that definitely makes you feel, if Zack Wilson's, I don't think you trade up to 2. I mean, the Jets are not going to trade down to 2. But if for some reason if the Jets go Fields, or dare I say it, Trey Lance at pick number 2, then the Niners should jump up to 3 and get Zack Wilson if they don't have their quarterback by then, if that makes sense. So, yeah, for sure. Anything else on Zack Wilson you guys want to share?
I want to say we have to wait for later in the offseason to see who the Jets really want, if it's Sewell or if it's another quarterback or if it's Wilson. I don't see us trading up to 3 or 5 for a quarterback, just because if we're giving up that much, why would we want to give up that much for a rookie when we can give up someone like possibly Watson, maybe not, but like Watson, or just trade for Stafford on a win-now team. I don't see us giving up 2, 3 first-round picks, some seconds for a rookie on a team. I mean, I love Zack Wilson, but I just don't see it.
For sure. I can definitely see that. But I mean, yeah, I think that a veteran quarterback is probably going to fit this team a bit better than the rookie, considering that we're in a win now situation. But hey, man, if there's a guy that we love, you go and get him. So yeah, for sure. And as he says right here,
So
I don't know why it's not popping up, but you guys could rather have the here you go. Would you rather have the chance to draft? It's me?
Yeah, it's you that's
I'm lagging. Okay.
But we can answer
but that. Okay.
Should we answer the question?
If it's lagging, then I'll. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so I would rather. I mean, I'm just gonna say consistent for the sake of take integrity, and I've been all over the Matthew Stafford idea. And I think that trading for Stafford is actually cheaper than trading up for Wilson or Fields. And, I like Wilson or Fields, but I don't love any quarterback in this draft that much.
Did I just lose you guys?
Go get them. No, you're still okay.
Hold up.
And
I might have just damn it.
I don't think either guy has as much physical talent as Matthew Stafford does. I mean, this is one of the greatest arms in NFL history. This is an arm that compares with the Brett Favres, the Dan Marinos, the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes. This is that level of an arm. And so I don't think even Zack Wilson and Fields, who have really strong arms, compare to that. And so that's why I would 100% still be in Matthew Stafford 1, and then Wilson. For me, it's probably Wilson 2, Fields 3.
I'm totally with you on that. I mean, I kind of didn't hear what you said because I kind of cut out a little bit, but yeah, that's the same order I have. Stafford 1, Wilson 2, Fields 3. I think, Joseph, you could probably agree with that too, right?
Yeah, I think it's a weird question just for the fact that they're on complete different sides of the spectrum. Stafford, win out quarterback and give a first and a second, or first and a third. Wilson or Fields, we're going to probably have to give up 2, 3 first-round picks. I'm probably going to go with Stafford. But, I mean, as big as a Wilson fan I am, sorry, I don't know, I'm like 60-40 right now. I'd go Stafford, though, on a win-now team.
Definitely, for sure. I mean, it's the win-now thing makes you definitely want Stafford a bit over. So, yeah. All right, Vish, I know you don't have that much time here. Is there another quarterback that you want to talk about before you have to go?
Up to you. We can go through whichever ones you want. It looks like someone in the comments really wants to talk about Mac Jones, so maybe we can.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Mac Jones. So Dom says right here, and Dom, I know he loves Mac Jones a lot. Mac Jones fits our offensive scheme because he'll have weapons with Ayuk and Debo. And I mean, I think just having those weapons with Ayuk and Debo, it's going to help every quarterback out a lot. But my thing with Mac Jones is, so if you want Mac Jones, you'd probably either trade back from 12 or trade up from your second round pick to get him. And I think at 12, if you have the option between Trey Lance and Mac Jones, you take Trey Lance over Mac Jones, in my opinion. And even though I like Jones and I do think he'd fit well for this team, the reason why I don't want him is because there's better options out there that are going to cost less than Mac. Just determining overall value, those options are going to cost less than Mac Jones, because the only way I take Mac Jones is if Shanahan absolutely loves the guy, and it's kind of like a Daniel Jones scenario where they got Daniel Jones at 6, we reach on Mac Jones at 12. If the Niners did that, I wouldn't be upset, because that shows that Shanahan loves this guy. That's the quarterback he wants to go with. So I definitely think, there's definitely a lot of Niners opinions on Mac Jones. I know Antonio here says Mac Jones will barely be an upgrade. To that, I disagree with. I definitely think he's an upgrade. But the other thing with Mac Jones is he has a high floor, low ceiling. And that's really the hard part about that gets me sold on Mac Jones, because you got a lot of other guys with floors in the similar range in much higher ceilings that you'd rather have over Mac Jones. So I definitely think he's a valuable option, but I think there's better options out there. And that's why I would probably avoid taking Mac Jones in the draft.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't touch Mac Jones at 12, but if you can tell me that we can trade down and get Mac Jones at 20, 25, I'm 100% in on it. I like Mac Jones, and he might not be that much of an upgrade, but guess what? Mac Jones is going to make $5 million and Jimmy Garoppolo makes $27 million. So for $22 million cheaper, that level of player is okay. You just can't pay that level of player 25, 26, $27 million because he's not a franchise quarterback. It's simple value, it's simple mathematics, and you got to take that into account. The other thing with Mac Jones is, from a physical talent standpoint, I actually don't think if Tua to you is like a B- physical talent, I think Mac Jones is maybe a C, C+. I don't think there's that much of a difference. I think Tua's process is a bit better when he was coming out, but I think Mac Jones would be fine. I think he's an okay quarterback. I think he's an okay quarterback prospect, and I think that if the 49ers take him at 25, he can be a competent starter for them. Low ceiling, high. I don't even know if you can call it a high floor because like Nathan Peterman supposedly had a high floor. Tua was supposed to have a high floor. Daniel Jones was supposed to be a high floor, ready to start now player. And we've seen the projects like Justin Herbert take off from week one and day one in the NFL. So it's tough for me to coin him as a high floor player. But I think that Mac Jones is, I would be fine with him if you take him at 25.
For sure. And I definitely think, kind of adding on to that point of, never mind. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Bean, if you want, Joseph, if you want to say anything else, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't mind Mac Jones. He's a guy that can come in, and I think he's more NFL ready than other quarterbacks because he can hit the simple throws and he can stand tall in the pocket. And he's also going to be cheaper than Garoppolo, and he's a really similar player to Garoppolo, I guess you could say. The only problem is, we're going to have to take him at 12. There's no way we're able to trade back without another team either trading up for him or taking him in between the late first and the 12th pick. Just like he said, 15th pick, Patriots, 19th pick, Washington, Saints trading up, someone with a retiring quarterback, Steelers, we don't know. There's no way you can trade back for a quarterback. And the problem is the draft is in free agency, and Stafford's probably going to be gone by then if we wait for Mac Jones. And if we don't end up with Mac Jones, we're screwed.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think, as Dom said, the Patriots might take him at 12. That's definitely a valuable option. And I've seen him mocked I've seen him mocked top 10 by some people. I've seen him mocked late second round by some people. The value for Mac Jones is just like all over the place. And you really don't know where he's going to go. So, if you want Mac Jones, you're going to probably have to get him at 12. You don't really trade down for a quarterback. That's kind of what the Giants did 2 years ago. But yeah.
From a talent standpoint, look, I don't think he's a first-round pick. I don't think he is a first-round pick. There's zero upside here. It's the mobility he's smart, competent, nice arm, pretty accurate, but there's no upside here. But to me, the reason you would have to take him in the first round is that you need the fifth-year option. I think that too many people connect him to New England just because he's an Alabama quarterback. But when have we seen New England really pursue a quarterback in the first round? Even last year, they had the opportunity. New England's all about taking very natural throwers in the second to fourth round and trying to develop them because it takes a long time for guys to grow within their system. They did it with Ryan Mallett. They did it with Jarrett Stidham. They did it with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think that they're going to stay true to that sort of mindset and go into the offseason with maybe Jimmy G, maybe Jarrett Stidham. So I don't think there would be a problem losing him to New England. I don't think he is a first-round quarterback per se. So taking him at 12, even if you're desperate, even then, to me, is rich. But if you can get him at 25, I think he's good value.
For sure. And you talk about last year, they don't take quarterback talent in the first round. 905 Carr mentioned Jordan Love in the comments somewhere. I was trying to scroll up, but I couldn't get it. But they don't do that really. Last year they had the opportunity at 23. Instead, they just traded down into the second round. The Packers took him. So I think for New England, you're probably looking at a guy to sign, a guy to trade, whether it be Stafford, whether it be Trubisky or someone like that, or you're looking at a Kyle Trask, someone like that. So I don't think they're going to take a guy in the first round, but we'll have to see what happens with that. But Mac Jones, again, valuable option, but I think there's better talent on the board for what we have and what assets we have. So yeah, for sure.
All right. I can maybe do one more and then I got to head out.
One more. All right. Let's do Let's do Deshaun Watson. Let's just jump back and forth a little bit. Let's go with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, that's another guy whose name has been in the rumors for weeks, and this is by far the most expensive guy on this list I have written down right here. Deshaun Watson is going to be the most expensive guy. I mean, you're looking at 2 firsts and more, maybe a player. Someone reported that they want Bosa, which apparently didn't turn out to be true, but they're going to want like a valuable asset for this team as well. I think Watson, you have to be very careful with because you can get Stafford at a much cheaper price than Deshaun Watson and get similar value. Get similar value out of those two because let's be real. Kyle Shanahan has worked with Matt Ryan and Jimmy Garoppolo, both the guys I would not call elite quarterbacks. And just out of those two, I would work with Matthew Stafford over Deshaun Watson, given what the asking price is for Deshaun Watson right there. So I think you're probably looking for, I think a Matthew Stafford is probably going to be not necessarily a better fit for this team, but for what the assets we have right now, I think you're looking at a Matthew Stafford because, it's going to be a cheaper option. You got similar production out of him. So, and also, I don't think Deshaun Watson's getting traded, frankly. I think you've just heard that he's upset. They hired their head coach tonight. Maybe he comes back and maybe their head coach pleases him. I don't know how he's feeling about that. But I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to get traded because, the Texans have a lot of leverage in where they want him to go. Teams are going to have to give up so much to get him, and I think it's going to be too much for teams. So I don't think Deshaun Watson's on the move. Even if he is on the move, it would be a good fit with us, but I don't think we're going to get him. And I know people are saying like mobility right here. Mobility. Do we necessarily need it? Here, let me ask you guys this question. Do we need a mobile quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, mobile quarterback, I definitely think, mobility is definitely something that would help this team, but I don't think that's the main trait you're looking for. We're all in on Stafford. Stafford's not that mobile of a quarterback when looking at some of the other guys.
There's a difference between mobility and ability to run. So I gotta go soon, but I'll just explain this real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Mobility is just the ability to function within the pocket and move around within the pocket. It's not okay. Like Tom Brady, there's a reason Tom Brady has been able to function besides this year under pressure really well in his entire career. He went to the AFC Championship in 2015 with an awful offensive line. It's because he's got really good feet in the pocket and he's got a knack for finding small spaces and he stays in throwing position to throw the ball. Matthew Stafford navigates the pocket and can move outside of the pocket with the same effectiveness. You don't need the guy to run. Right now, the current 49er quarterbacks cannot move. They can't move within the pocket. They're stuck in the sand that people get stuck in.
The quicksand. Quicksand.
Yeah. That's what they're stuck in. They're stuck in quicksand within the pocket. So Matthew Stafford 100% can do that. Here's my thing with Deshaun, okay? I think Deshaun, you outlined that he would be elite. Yeah, I think he would be elite. I think Matt Ryan actually is closer to elite than people give him credit for. He's got really elite brain, super elite intangibles. It's just, unfortunately, he's not as physically gifted as, say, Deshaun. But I think that at his best, Matt Ryan was maybe the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the NFL. I would say Deshaun currently is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. So I don't think it's that far off in terms of the conversation. I will say that. And I think Matthew Stafford, if he played with Kyle, could be between the 7th or the 8th best quarterback in the NFL. So I don't think it's that far off. For me, the thing with Deshaun is I would love to get him. I just think the asking price and then having what would happen once you get Deshaun is where I would have to see some sort of a plan and find out what they actually give up, right? Because let's take players aside. Let's say they give up 3 firsts, 3 seconds, the Herschel Walker trade. That's what I'm assuming. This is the best player ever to get available on trade because he, 1, based on value that he plays quarterback, 2, he's 25 years old, and 3, he's signed for an extended period of time. So let's say it's the Herschel Walker trade. 2021, Deshaun Watson's cap hit is around $10 to $12 million. You can win with that, okay? But what's the consistent theme that everybody tried pushing, the narrative everybody tried pushing down their throats this year about Garoppolo? Second year in Shanahan's system. So you would have to go put all your eggs in the basket of winning the Super Bowl in 2021. And if you don't do it and you don't have picks, how are you going to reload this roster around Deshaun Watson? Because you're not going to be able to, if you sign Trent Williams, right, that's a $20+ million cap hit. Next year is going to be the last year of Fred Warner on his rookie contract. So that's probably going to be an $18 million cap hit in 2022. Eric Armstead turns into a $20 million cap hit in 2022. So you're going to have about 8 players taking up the entire cap, and it's going to be they're going to be a better version of Houston. They're going to be Houston with a couple better players because they're going to be basically having to have bargain people basically nobody else wanted to fill out the rest of their team around Deshaun. And we've seen, like, look at the Chiefs. Yeah, they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They have one of the best coaches in the NFL, maybe ever, and they have the best quarterback in the NFL. They still need to go on this run. They need Travis Kelce, best tight end, or second best tight end, or 1A, 1B best tight end in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, the best receiver in the NFL. They have Mecole Hardman, who's really effective. And then on defense, they have a few big guys up front who dominate. They have Chris Jones, who's dominant. They have Frank Clark, who plays really well in the playoffs, and Tyrann Mathieu is special, and L'Jarius Sneed, who they got, is really good. So you need a lot more than just a quarterback to win a Super Bowl. If you just needed a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers would have won the last 6 Super Bowls. So for that reason, I'm a little weary about Deshaun, but ultimately I would still pull the trigger. It's still Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, for sure. And before you leave quickly, just like mobility, like the way I was defining mobility is just kind of like ability, just like run, being running, like having good run ability. But like if you're defining mobility like that, then absolutely we need a mobile quarterback. So yeah. All right, Vish, can you just say two words on Sam Darnold before you leave?
I'm a no on Sam Darnold.
No on Sam Darnold.
I know
okay.
people are into Sam Darnold's physical talent because Sam Darnold has a few wow plays that are really eye-popping, and they are really special. Nobody can say they aren't special. He shows mobility, touch, everything. The thing for me with Sam Darnold is the consistent quarterback play has been terrible in terms of his mental process, his ability to throw the ball accurately, where he's going with the football. It can't be all Adam Gase, Adam Gase got the best. I'm in Chicago. Adam Gase made Jay Cutler look the best Jay Cutler has looked in his career, okay? Ryan Tannehill wasn't this bad with Adam Gase. Ryan Tannehill wasn't this good as he is now with Adam Gase, but he wasn't this bad. Part of it is Sam Darnold, and he has struggled to play quarterback so far. To me, Sam Darnold looks like a player who's lost all confidence in himself. To get him, the 49ers would have to give up a pick, and they would have to make a 1-year evaluation and a decision whether to take his 5th-year option, which would be nuts because his 5th-year option pays him $25 million. So then you basically keep him on a 1-year deal, and you have to sign him the very next year. Getting him to me contractually because it gives you a little flexibility. He, to me, is a guy that needs to sit for a little bit, just a guy that I feel like he's lost confidence and he needs to find himself and who he is as a player again. And so for those reasons, I'm out on Sam Darnold for the 49ers.
All right. You said it perfectly right there. Well, Vish, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime, man. Appreciate you coming on. Hope you get on another time. So yeah, take care, man.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me. Make sure you guys follow Niner Wire. Sam does a great job. And follow Joseph. It was my first time meeting him, but he knows what he's
Vish's stuff right
about.
there. Yeah, Joseph's stuff right there. We'll plug that at the end again. But Vish, take care, man. Hope all is well with you. So yeah, for sure. All right. So now it's just Joseph and I. Do you want to talk about Darnold? Do you got anything else to say about Deshaun Watson?
I want to talk about Watson. You mentioned mobility. Vish and I have the same definition of mobility. We're thinking the ability to escape the pocket, get out of the pocket, move within the pocket. And essentially we need that because, our O-line isn't the best, and a mobile quarterback, in the sense of moving the pocket, can really improve the O-line. And that's exactly what we're thinking of. Stafford is mobile. He's a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, Stafford is mobile.
Definition. He's a mobile quarterback. Mm-hmm. Having the ability to run is great, especially in Shanahan's offense. That's not a necessity. We don't need that. But having a mobile quarterback that can move the pocket is exactly what we need. And that's exactly what Garoppolo isn't.
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally with you on that. If that's what we want to find mobile by, I'm all for. When I think of like mobile, I'm thinking of like pocket. When I think of mobile, what I thought of mobile, I should say, I think of just like running ability, but when escaping the pocket. But when I think of like the mobility that you're thinking of, I think of just pocket presence. But anyways, yeah, Stafford, by your definition of mobility, is a mobile quarterback. And I definitely think, we definitely need that for sure on this team. So yeah, for sure. All right. We talked about, or go ahead.
Sorry, but if you're talking about mobile in the sense of like, running ability, we don't need that. It would be a plus, but we really don't need that. I would trade whatever it takes for Watson to an extent. Obviously, I wouldn't trade Bosa, Kittle, Warner, etc. I wouldn't really trade much of our best players. But if we could trade for Watson, you can't say no. You really just can't say no. I do think Stafford is more valuable in the sense of what we're giving up.
Yeah, if you get a good if the Texans aren't asking much for Watson, and you get a good offer on the table and they take that, you'd much rather have that over Matthew Stafford. And I'm the type of guy that is like, if you see a guy that you want, you go and get him. I don't think it matters too much for this team, but Deshaun Watson is definitely a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. You'd much rather, if you're asking for the same price for him, let's say they were both worth a first, which is obviously not the case for Deshaun Watson specifically. But if that was the offer, if that's what both teams wanted, you're absolutely taking Deshaun Watson over Matthew Stafford. So yeah, I definitely think, I just think that he's probably the best option, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I just don't think it's going to happen. So you got anything else on Deshaun Watson?
Not really. I think that's mostly it.
All right, perfect. Let's talk about another guy that's expensive. I'm just going to get this out of the way quick. Antonio says, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Spoiler alert, newsflash, that is not happening. They're not moving Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to say anything else about that. You got anything on that or not?
Only way Rodgers moves teams is if he requests a trade. Do I see it? Probably not, because why would he request a trade to a worse team than Green Bay? There's not many teams worse than Green Bay. They made the NFC Championship. That's all I got to say, really. I mean,
for sure.
It doesn't make sense.
If
he becomes available, he'd be perfect fit for us. Go ahead, let's do it. But it's not happening.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm totally with you on that. I don't see why would Green Bay trade him? Like, yes, you have Jordan Love, but Aaron Rodgers is better than Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is the MVP this year. You don't trade the MVP. Period. You don't do that you don't do that in any sport.
He would have to request a trade and force a trade.
He would have to force a trade. Like, he would have to,
But other than not happening, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he requests a trade either.
I mean, yeah, and it's not even request a trade. It's like force a trade. Like, say, hey, I want out, and then you just don't show up to anything else. And like that's how you force a trade out of Green Bay. And I don't think that's happening. I seriously do not think that's happening. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, Bean, as Can't Guard Kittle says, your volume's pretty now. I don't know if you have a mic on, but like if you had to, I don't know. It's all good, but just want to let you know that.
Talk louder?
Well, I can hear you fine. It's definitely a bit quieter than what I heard, than what Vish heard earlier, than what I heard from Vish, but like it's all good. But yeah, thought I should just let you know that. So yeah, for sure. All right.
I think, hold on.
That's better. That's a lot better. All right, perfect. That works better. Okay. Vish talked about Darnold before he left. Let's do that right there, Joseph. So Sam Darnold is the guy I obviously made a video on. And if you want a cheap option at quarterback, if you do not want to give up much, if you want to use your assets for other needs, not quarterback, Sam Darnold is the guy you go after, period. I don't think there's any other better cheap option than Sam Darnold. I'd rather have Stafford over him. I'd rather have Watson over him. I'd rather have some of the draft guys over him. But if you want a cheap quarterback, then Sam Darnold's your guy. I mean, he definitely has, I wouldn't say as much potential as some of the guys in the draft. I think the guys in the draft have more potential, but I made the Darnold video. I don't really need to go into it too much of why I think that Sam Darnold is a good quarterback for this team. But if you want a cheap option, and this is only if the Niners want a cheap option. If the Niners want to go a bit more expensive, then you get your Matthew Stafford, you get your Zack Wilson, you get your Justin Fields. But if you want a cheap option who you can fill other needs with there, then you go for Sam Darnold right there. And I think he would fit this team well. Another reason, like I know people are saying like Darnold has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Yes, he has not been that good, but Shanahan has praised him constantly. Even though Sam Darnold isn't even on this team, he's praised him constantly. And I definitely think that's a sign that Kyle Shanahan can work with this guy. So that's all I really have to say on Sam Darnold. If you want anything else from me, go watch my Sam Darnold video. So, yeah. You got anything, Joseph?
I want to say before, Watson, Stafford, possibility of Lance, I would have said I wouldn't be opposed to Darnold. But at this point, there's so many other available guys. In all honesty, maybe as a biased UCLA fan, I'd rather ride with Rosen than trade for Darnold.
Yeah, I mean,
hot take.
Rosen.
Hot take.
Hot take. But yeah, I mean, Rosen. I mean, the thing with Rosen, he's just like I know I'm gonna be hypocritical and say this. Like, he's broken. Sam Darnold, yes, he's broken, but not to the extent. that Josh Rosen is. Like, Sam Darnold's still a starting caliber quarterback. I mean, let's be real. Sam Darnold won more games than he won. I mean, he beat the Rams more time. He beat the Rams once. That's the same times that Russell Wilson beat the Rams this year. Sam Darnold, there you go. Man, there you go. Up with the elite
Nick
quarterbacks
Mullins
this
beat
year.
the Rams more than most teams.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, I mean, Sam Darnold, cheap option. I know all the people are like really saying like, if his first name was Sam, that is not true. I mean, I'll be fair. I have a little bit of bias, but not much, man. I mean, I mean, here, I'll just tell you right now, I don't really like Sam Ehlinger that much. There you go. That's a Sam that I don't really like that much. Jake, if you're watching this, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I definitely think that and this is only if you want a cheap option. So,
and can I ask you,
for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, what do you think we would trade for Darnold? Like, what do you think his value is? Just real quick, like third, fourth, fifth.
I said in my video, I said a third. It would probably be a third or a fourth. I don't think you go anything. I don't think you go anything more than that.
In your opinion, why would you trade a third or a fourth for Darnold when we already have Rosen? What's the difference between?
Because Darnold is better than Rosen. And he can start now.
I'm asking you, like, do you think the difference is a third or fourth round pick? I honestly think Rosen can come into this team and compete better than Darnold can, and I'm not giving up third or fourth for that.
I mean, my thing right now is like, my thing right now is that you have both. If you have both Darnold and Rosen on this team, if you want Rosen to be your starting quarterback, you damn well need to have an insurance plan right there. Darnold, I don't think if you want to have Darnold and Rosen, then I first of all, I don't think you should do that. I think you just go with Rosen and then someone else, maybe a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick as their quarterback. I don't think you go Rosen. If you want Darnold and Rosen, you are saying that Josh Rosen is a backup quarterback. He's the backup quarterback for this team. And you don't plan on starting him. You plan on saying that Sam Darnold is the face of the franchise. So, yeah, I think that's how you go. I don't think if you want to give up a third or a fourth for Darnold to compete with Rosen, no way in hell am I doing that. I'm giving up a third or a fourth for Sam Darnold only if he's going to be the starting quarterback next year.
I was just
no other way.
I would not be opposed to trading for Darnold if we're having a competition between Rosen and Darnold. I do think that could bring out the best in both of them, or at least one of them, enough to be a caliber starter. Because I think,
or go ahead.
Assuming we can't get Stafford, Watson, a top 4 quarterback, maybe not Jones, because I just don't see like the situation matching up. Assuming we can't do that, I don't think it'd be a terrible idea. I'd much rather have a Darnold Rosen competition than bringing back Garoppolo on $25 million a year.
I mean, yeah, Darnold's definitely a cheaper option than Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's why another reason why I said or go ahead. What were you saying?
And Rosen.
Yeah, they're both cheaper options. And that's why I kind of made that Darnold video. He's cheaper. He's one of the cheapest options you can get. But yeah, I don't think I'd have a competition between, I don't want to give up another asset to get a guy who's just going to be competing for a quarterback spot. We're not in a situation like the Chicago Bears were in last year where Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback. They wanted him to be the quarterback moving forward. And they got Nick Foles, like kind of just for insurance. And I mean, yes, he was pretty cheap, but Darnold, I don't think you do that with this team. This team is still in the win now mode. This team can compete for a Super Bowl. I don't think you do that with this team. I think you have to get a guy. If you want Josh Rosen to start next year, you bring in a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tyrod Taylor. That's what you have to do. You don't go after Darnold. You don't use the trade block to do anything. You go for free agency. You go for a guy. Yeah, I mean, as I said, Fitzpatrick, Andy Dalton, Tyrod Taylor. I don't think we're going to do that. But yeah, I don't think I'm going after Darnold if I want him to be competing for quarterback spot. I'm only going after Darnold if I know this guy is the guy for the 49ers going forward.
I mean, I'm going to kind of agree with you. Rosen or Darnold, I'm saying Rosen as a Rosen fan. Darnold, trading for a fourth for him, I don't think it's a terrible idea, even if he's not the starter. Maybe a backup to like someone way better, because I mean, why not have someone like Darnold with that potential? I mean,
for sure,
left. But I do want to add, although we aren't in the same situation, Shanahan said that he would 1,000% give up a second again for Garoppolo, just for the fact that we had the chance to see if he was our quarterback or not. And I mean, we paid him. I don't see why he wouldn't, if we're in a bad situation, give up a fourth for Darnold if he wants to see if he's a starter or not. I don't think trading for him would automatically make him the starter.
Yeah, for sure. And Mariota is another good backup option. If you want a guy just like compete with like Josh Rosen for a guy. I don't think Mariota would be the guy you want to compete with, but if you want a good backup option or a guy, if you draft like a really raw prospect, you want a guy to bring in just to help him out. Mariota is a good guy. Speaking of drafting guys, let's talk about a guy who I think is a backup option. I think fits this team really well. Looking at his traits, he had a fantastic day at the Senior Bowl. Now I remember what I was going to say about Mac Jones. I forgot about Mac Jones had a fantastic day at the Senior Bowl as well today. Jamie Newman out of Wake Forest or Georgia. I think he transferred to Georgia, didn't play. I don't know what the situation is with. But Jamie Newman, that is a guy who you're probably looking at a fourth, maybe late third at the earliest, but fourth to fifth round talent. I think that is a guy who can, from what I've heard about him, he seems like a guy who you can develop into a starter. Maybe that's probably his ceiling. A solid starter is his ceiling, but I think a backup role for him would fit the NFL real well. And I think that's a guy you should target for a backup, especially if you want a young backup. I think that the 49ers are going to really redo their backup room right now. I don't know if Rosen's staying on this team. I mean, he was kind of an emergency guy to just put in. And I know people are going to say like, oh, he's only in his third year. Let's be real. Josh Rosen is a backup quarterback, a bona fide backup quarterback.
No Rosen slander tolerated.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're a UCLA fan, so you obviously have a bias towards him. But but if they don't want Josh Rosen as their backup, I think Jamie Newman is a very valuable option, a young guy who can develop into a starter, maybe. And that leaves you a lot of leverage to go after a guy like Stafford, because if Stafford's not good after these 2 years, or Stafford just doesn't want to re-sign with us for some reason, Jamie Newman could be right there, ready to take the reins to this team. So I think one of the safest backup options is Jamie Newman, the quarterback out of Wake Forest / Georgia. So, yeah.
I mean, if we're getting Stafford, I think getting a rookie quarterback in the fourth, fifth, maybe third-ish, if we're trading up for someone that we really like, I'm all for it. I think Newman would be an option. And also, as Carr would like, Mills out of Stanford. I'm a big fan of him too. I think he'd be
another guy
behind Stafford. I mean, that's one of my dark horses of the draft. So I think he'd be a good backup behind Stafford too. I think a rookie backup for a guy like Stafford would be perfect scenario.
Yeah, for sure. I think I haven't looked too much at the quarterback class. I kind of looked a little bit. I want to watch a bit more film, but from the guy I watch, as 905 Carr says right here, he's watched a lot of Newman's season on film. He was and that's a guy who really he stands out to you as a backup guy. He has NFL talent, not starter talent. So I definitely think you're looking at a starter whose ceiling is a solid starter, solid to below average starter. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback in this league, but he's definitely going to be a solid backup. Probably the role that Nick Mullins did play for us when he was still the Nick Mullins that we really wanted. A guy who's mobile, got some nice arm and speed, kind of like Jalen Hurts, as 905 Carr says right there. So I definitely think Jamie Newman would be a great backup option for this team. But there's a lot of options. Is my screen frozen?
Not anymore. It used to be. I do.
Okay. Could you still hear my voice?
Yeah, you can hear.
Okay, good.
I think it was just a screen. It might be.
Okay, that sounds good.
You're good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having a lot of internet issues on this. I don't know if it's me or it's my other guys, but I guess today it's me. But yeah, for sure.
I want to.
All right. Or go ahead.
I've been a big believer in the fact of drafting a rookie quarterback as a backup if you have a guy like a veteran mentor, just because I feel like having such potential as a backup is so valuable. Whenever your starter gets hurt, for the future you'll have someone developed, even if they don't become anything special. I think it's almost a guarantee if you can get a semi-talented guy behind a guy like Stafford, then he can be a starter for sure. I think that is so valuable to have.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I definitely think that's a really good trait to have in your quarterback, waiting to back him up right there. So, yeah. All right, Brian, here you go. Kyle Trask, this is your guy, and we'll break it down right now. So, Kyle Trask you're probably looking at a second round, third round talent, maybe first if someone just decides to reach like hell, and if it's like a Tim Tebow situation. But I mean, Kyle Trask, in my opinion, when looking at him and comparing him to Mac Jones, he definitely has a lower floor, but a higher ceiling. And I'm with Antonio on this. Trask is just met. I don't think he's ready to come in and start right away. I think you probably look for a team. Well, I think a great fit for him would be a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who has an aging quarterback and is probably going to move on for him soon. I think Kyle Trask would be a great fit there, but we're in a win now situation with a problem at quarterback. I don't think Kyle Trask is going to be the best option for this team. So I think you probably, and again, kind of with what I was saying with Mac Jones, there's better options out there for what you have and what assets you have. So I think I would rather go for those better options.
And I want to ask actually, why would you take Trask over Jones? If you're in a situation where you want to get a QB5, QB6 in the draft, I would
take Jones over Trask.
I know, but I'm asking like for someone watching or just in general, why would you take Trask over Jones at all? Jones has a higher floor. Maybe you can argue Trask has a higher ceiling.
The reason you take him is because of the ceiling. He has a higher ceiling than Mac Jones.
I don't know if I believe that. I mean, the whole point with Jones is that he has a low ceiling, but I honestly think he has a higher ceiling than Trask. I'm not a big fan of Trask at all. I do think he has a lot of – I mean, he's semi-talented. I do think he has a lot of problems. He also had Kyle Pitts, Grimes, Kadarius Toney. All three of those guys are like one of my favorite guys in the draft. I don't get it. I think it's honestly top 4 QBs, Gap, Jones, another Gap, Trask.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think – I've been on the train where Trask has a higher ceiling this year, and I definitely think that's probably. I mean, that's just my opinion, but it's really an either or situation. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely. I guess we could agree to disagree, but yeah. All right. Talked about Kyle Trask. Let's just finish off the draft guys right here, and then we'll get to some of the more obscure free agent guys. Mm-hmm. Trey Lance or Justin Fields? Who you want to talk about?
Let's go with Fields first.
Let's go with Fields first. Okay, that sounds good. I know you love Trey Lance, so we'll save that for last. But yeah, for sure. I don't know if you're being serious, Jameis, right here, but
that is true.
Yeah, I would not draft him at 12. I mean, you're probably looking at a backup guy, as I said, third or fourth round. So I mean, I don't know if you're serious. If you are serious, please DM me because I want to know your ideology on that. My Twitter's at @NinerWireSam, obviously.
Yeah, please DM me too, so I can block you.
For sure. All right. Let's talk about Justin Fields. And this is a guy who I have not been high on this entire process. I have been, as I know a lot of you in the chat know, Antonio, you know for sure, I've been back and forth with you a lot on Justin Fields. And I'll be real. I don't think he's going to – I think after like his performance getting to the national championship, I am a bit higher on him. He still is my quarterback 4, and I definitely think like he needs to have the right system on in the NFL. But the Niners are one of those right systems. And that's why I think he would do really great on this team. I think I would be for having Justin Fields on this team. I would say Wilson over Fields, but if the Niners like Fields a lot, give me Fields easily. So yeah, I mean Justin Fields, I definitely think is QB4 in my opinion, Justin Fields, but I definitely think he possesses what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. The big concern is the floor. Obviously, I think he has a very low floor, and I think he has some of the highest bust potential depending on what team he ends up with. It's really a system thing for Justin Fields. Like unlike some guys like Zack Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, it's really a system thing right there for Justin Fields. And I think it's gonna play a huge role in where he ends up and how well he does in the NFL. So I think Justin Fields, the Niners are a good system for him. I would happily take him. He is my QB4. So my top 4 quarterback rankings are Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Fields. But as for the Niners, I would put Fields over Lance. I think you get a guy who can win now a bit easier than Trey Lance. So I definitely think that Justin Fields would fit this team a bit better than Trey Lance, considering what we need like in a win now quarterback. So yeah, I definitely think you need Justin Fields. I mean, not need Justin Fields, but I definitely think he'd be a good fit for this team, and he wouldn't bust on the Niners.
As much as I hate to say it, I would disagree with you. I think Lance is more of a win-now quarterback than Fields. That's also a hot take. Just because his running ability, I think his running ability, just like Lamar Jackson, he can come straight into the league and he can provide there. No development needed. His arm, though, I will take Fields over Lance, at least for the first year. But as far as Fields goes, his ceiling, QB2 ceiling, arguably under Lawrence, like right under Lawrence. His
absolutely.
His floor, though, I'm putting his floor under Mac Jones.
Oh, okay. I would put his floor under Kyle. Like, yeah, actually, Mac Jones is probably better. Under Mac Jones, I would say in between Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. Like right there, that is Justin Fields' floor. I think Justin Fields could be one of the biggest busts in NFL history if he's on a team that does not fit his system. I also think he could be one of the best quarterbacks in football if he's on a team that has the right system for him. It's really a toss-up, but we're here to – this is called Niner Wire for a reason. We're here to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, and Justin Fields would fit this team for the San Francisco 49ers. So, yeah, for sure.
I think Fields, though, I've seen some of his games. Some things concern me. There's some games that it's the inconsistency. I think it was the last game of the regular season. Terrible. That might have been the game before. I'm kind of mixing up the timelines. Championship game, although they lost by a good amount, and some people say that he didn't look great, he made some amazing throws and some throws that honestly I think improved his stock. And I think, honestly, like you said, on the right system, he can be an amazing quarterback, but also his pocket awareness, his throws, and his stature against blitzes is also concerning too.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I definitely agree with you on that. So, yeah. All right. Let's talk about your guy, Trey Lance. How about you start this off? Because this is your guy, Joseph.
Okay. Lance and Wilson are both of my guys. I'm kind of more leaning Lance just because I think he has a honestly higher ceiling. I think he's also similar to Fields. He has a really high ceiling. I think he has a higher floor just because of his running ability. He has all the arm talent is there. He can hit any throw you want him to. He has the running ability of Lamar Jackson, but more of a power back instead of a elusive back. I don't know what you don't like about him. I do think his one game he played this year is a little concerning, but yet again, I don't think you can judge him just off of that. His year prior, he put insane stats, stats you think were typos. I just think in the right system, he's like a system quarterback too. He has to be in the right system. He can be a star in this league.
Yeah, I definitely think Trey Lance is my quarterback 3 over Justin Fields for a reason. And it's what you said. He definitely is he definitely gotta be one of my favorite quarterbacks. And my real issue for him for the Niners is he's a raw quarterback. And I know I said Trey Lance would not fit this team that much because he's a raw quarterback. And it would take a bit of adjusting. There's definitely that learning curve. A lot of people disagree with me, but I'm going to stand to my point. I definitely think in my opinion, he needs a bit of time before he can win now. But if he's with the Niners, he's going to need less time than he needs with other teams. He's not like a Jordan Love situation where you're going to bench him for multiple years.
Yeah.
He's a guy you probably bench for, as for the Niners, 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. You probably bench him for that much, maybe a bit more. I don't know, but I would say 5 weeks at the minimum. But yeah, I definitely think Trey Lance, he possesses everything you want in the 2021 NFL quarterback that you want to have. Your ideal quarterback, mobile, strong arm, accurate. Just watch the film, man. He looks like a stud. The big question is, can he translate that to the NFL? Obviously, he's pretty raw, so we'll have to see what happens. But in a Shanahan system, he could definitely come in and win now. Well, not necessarily win now, but he can win now soon after. You got to have another predecessor to him instead of Trey Lance, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah.
For you, I want to ask you, how would you rank the quarterbacks, the rookie quarterbacks, let's say up to Jones, because Trask is not good. Sorry, Brian. How would you rank them in terms of NFL readiness and mostly on the 49ers? Just on readiness, ability to come here week 1 or at least earlier and compete and win out.
For readiness for the wait, so can you repeat that? So you want who's the most ranking on who's the most NFL ready
between Fields, Wilson, Lance, and Jones? How would you rank them in terms of NFL readiness? Who can come in and win out? How would you rank them in terms of, let's say?
I would go Fields, Wilson, Lance, Jones, and after Wilson, it's a pretty big gap.
So Fields, you think Fields is the most win now quarterback?
Fields and Wilson. So here it's Fields and Wilson are close, right there, 1-2. After that, there's a pretty big gap. This is where Trey Lance would be, and then Mac Jones is probably right here, a fairly big gap, but not as big as you got for.
I'm gonna have to completely disagree with you. I think Lance's running ability puts him over Fields and all. I think Wilson's probably the most NFL ready. Fields is probably third. You could argue Jones is up there too, but Jones is such a big question mark. But I don't think Fields is the most NFL ready. His pocket awareness is one thing. In the right system, he will be. For the 49ers in the simplified system, he could be. But whenever you have that pocket awareness, it's a big issue. It's I don't think he can be NFL ready in terms of Wilson. Lance also has a similar problem as Fields. Fields fixed it towards the end of the year, is that they stare down their first read. Lance is a huge problem. But if Lance, I'm saying it right now, hot take, if Lance can fix that, he's an MVP in this league.
Yeah, oh no, I don't think that's a hot take. I definitely think he could be an MVP in this league without a doubt. I think that's I wouldn't call that a hot take. I think that's just a good take straight up. I think
he progressions and he can learn to do that, similar to what Jordan Love had. Josh Allen had a similar issue, I believe. Just a lot of college quarterbacks do is that they stare down their first read, thinking it'll be open. In North Dakota State, the competition isn't the best, so the wide receiver one in the primary read is usually going to be open. So he usually stared down the first read. But whenever I think his first game, I forgot who they played. Their first game, they always took away his primary read, and he struggled a little bit. But with time,
this is the Central Arkansas game?
Yeah, my bad. I forgot what they played. But with time, or just at least maybe training camp, I don't know how long it'll take. It depends on the person. But if he can learn to go through his progressions and not stare down someone, and he can go through progressions quickly, he's a superstar.
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally with you on that. I definitely think Trey Lance, if you're ranking them on ceiling, I'll just take Wilson, Fields, Jones, and Lance. You want to rank them on ceiling? I have Trey Lance as my highest ceiling out of those four guys, without a doubt. Easily, without a doubt.
I think
that's
Lance,
my highest
Fields,
ceiling.
and Wilson are all insanely high ceilings. I think Wilson's maybe a little lower, I guess you could argue. Than
I would put Lance one
way higher floor than both.
Exactly. I would put Lance 1, Wilson 2, Fields 3.
Yeah.
Or
realistically,
I don't know. No, so that's tough between Wilson and Fields. I think it's so close between the two. Then 4 is Mac Jones. We don't really need to talk about him in the ceiling. So yeah, for sure.
Pretty irrelevant in the ceiling.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. All right. You got anything else on Trey Lance you want to talk about?
I mean, in terms of draft order, or just him as a player?
Just anything. Anything else you want to comment about Trey Lance before we move on?
I want him to be a Niner. I would be really happy if he's a Niner by the end of the day. Can we get him at 12? Maybe. I think right now Stafford is going to be our option. I think right now is looking Stafford will be the quarterback for the 49ers. Maybe the Colts overpay. If anything, Lance is probably the most probable quarterback in the draft, and I'd be really happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd be happy with it. Not the guy I necessarily want out of all of those, but end of the day, we got our quarterback. We're good. So, yeah. All right. Last few guys. Let's talk about – we haven't talked about the free agent quarterback market yet. And there's a reason for that. There's a good reason for that. It's really – there's not that many quarterbacks. I'm not even going to talk about Dak because I don't think Dak is worth it. I mean, he's coming off a career-ending injury. He's probably going to stay in Dallas. I don't think Dak's worth it. Or it's almost career-ending injury, I should say.
I mean, I don't think it's that he's not worth it. I definitely think he's worth it. I don't think it's happening. It's literally not happening. So that's why it makes sense.
Exactly.
If you're arguing it's not worth it, $40 million, sure. I don't think we should pay anyone $40 million unless we're getting Watson or Mahomes or Josh Allen. But I wouldn't say it's not worth it
Yeah, for sure. All right, but here's a guy that you could talk about. Mitch Trubisky. Guy had in the thumbnail. I've seen his name out there. I'm just going to say right now, I don't want Trubisky, but I will be okay if we get him. And the reason I will be okay if we get him is I think you still have – I mean, he's led his team to – well, not necessarily led his team to playoffs, but he's made the playoffs twice so far in his 4-year career. I think Mitch Trubisky would be – I kind of agree with James right here. He is a decent – I wouldn't say a good system fit, but he's definitely a decent system fit, and I definitely think he could do pretty well right there. And I know people are saying he's garbage and everything. I mean, I'm the guy who said Sam Darnold would be good for this team. I think Trubisky is another valuable, not necessarily valuable option. He's an option for this team. And I think Trubisky is probably your worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, Mitch Trubisky is your quarterback. That's probably what I have to say.
He's definitely worst case scenario. Would I be mad if we got Trubisky? Yeah, I would be. Just because Watson, I'm just saying Watson just because it's probable.
I would be.
But Watson, Stafford, top 5 quarterbacks, I'd definitely take Mac Jones on a rookie contract than Trubisky on whatever contract we're giving him. I don't think it's that he'd be bad with us. I just don't see him over any of our options. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely think like I wouldn't be angry. I would be disappointed because I think I don't know. I don't know what I would feel. I mean, it feels like the team doesn't do their due diligence if they get Mitch Trubisky, but I don't really know. I think Mitch Trubisky would be a fine option, but there's not really anything else I have to say. Worst case scenario.
I think disappointed is a good word.
Disappointed. Yeah, disappointed is probably the best word for that. So.
We have the opportunity to, upgrade at quarterback, possibly a great rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. We can get Matthew Stafford, we can get Deshaun Watson, and we end up with Mitchell Trubisky. That's pure disappointment.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. All right. Jordan Love, that was brought up in the comments. I'm just going to say it right now, kind of like Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that's happening. There's a reason they used the first on Jordan Love last year, even when they had Aaron Rodgers. Because the Niners are not going to they're going to give up a second at minimum for that. Second at the most for that, for Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And you don't do that. You just don't do that unless the guy's absolutely trash, and we don't know that so far. So I don't think Jordan Love is going to be a Niner. I'll just say that right now. Just get that out of the way. So, yeah.
I mean, I do.
You got any other? Or go ahead. Yeah.
About Jordan Love, sorry. If he's not becoming available, neither is Rodgers. Unless Rodgers requests trade, Jordan Love 100% sticking with the team. But if hypothetically, if he were to become available, I would give up anything that's not our first rounder for him. He's a rookie. I mean, I'm saying rookie quarterback. He was a rookie quarterback under Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. It's literally the same situation with the current rookie quarterbacks, except he had that 1 year that we're talking about that these quarterbacks need. So that'd be perfect for us. Not happening though. But I mean, I would love that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a good option, but just the value is not there. And I think you go after. I think the value matter of fact, the value for Jordan Love is just slightly less for the value of Matthew Stafford. And you're in a win now team. You go for Stafford. It's that simple. I don't think Jordan Love makes any sense.
I disagree, though. I don't think it's going to be close to Stafford. I think Stafford, we're going to be in a bidding race with Indianapolis. Indianapolis is going to be able to give up a lot just because they only think they need a quarterback, and that's who they want. They're not getting a rookie quarterback. If Matthew Stafford's going for like maybe a first and like a second, or first and like a third, right? Jordan Love, let's say if it were a straight up second round pick swap, or like a second and a third or something, that's perfect. The thing is, why would Green Bay do that? No clue. Doesn't make sense for them. They don't do it.
Exactly. And I mean, actually, I would say Washington, I think that's a better chance of getting him. I mean, that's a great fit in Washington for him. I don't know if they're interested in him or not, but keep an eye out on Washington, man. I think that could be a great fit for him. So, yeah, I mean, Rappaport said about a third of the teams contacted Detroit about Matt Stafford. So there's going to be a lot of rumblings about Matt Stafford in the coming days, in the coming weeks, in the coming months. So, yeah, man.
Wait, Sam, you said how many teams have called about Stafford?
Ian Rappaport said this morning that about a third of the teams have contacted the Detroit Lions. Yeah, a third of the teams in the NFL.
But I saw one thing that I forgot who it was by, but it was like a big account. They said that the Lions, what's it called? The market for Stafford wasn't what they were expecting. Like it wasn't many people.
Okay, I did not see that. So
yeah, I mean one of them is lying. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I trust Ian Rappaport more than whoever that other guy is, but yeah, we'll have to see. All right, Joseph, any other quarterback you want to talk about before we end the stream?
I don't think I can. I mean, you had Cam Newton written down.
Yeah, I just had him down just to talk about another free agent, but I don't want to. I would be more disappointed if we got Cam Newton than if we got Mitch Trubisky. I'll just say that right now.
I mean, just because Cam Newton's name, I like Cam Newton. I liked him in his MVP year. A lot of people did. He was really likable. But, yeah, I'd take Trubisky over Newton, especially with how we'd have to completely change our system to have Newton. His arm isn't there. He has running ability, but like for example, the Patriots, the switch from Brady to Newton was insane. Their offense was completely different. No chance.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you on that. So, yeah, already. So, other than Cam Newton, you got anyone else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right, perfect. So then we're just going to end the stream on that note. Guys, we got a lot of viewers for this one. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I know this was a really fun stream. Episode 2 of the Positional Preview Series. Next week will be, I don't know what it's going to be next week. We'll have to see, but we're going to do running back / wide receivers. We're going to do offensive line, and we're going to do the front 7. Those are going to be the other 5 episodes. And then we'll get some more offseason content. Channel's going to roll by. Got a lot coming. So make sure to subscribe there. Also, guys, again, make sure to subscribe to Being Elite on YouTube. Do you want them to follow you on Twitter too?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. His Twitter's at Being Elite. Make sure to follow him there as well. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Go Niners.